I do enjoy the comforts of the modern world. Air conditioning, fine carpets, those little nibblers you can get at the big box stores, clean sanitation for humans. All of these things deserve praise, and so I give it. I am not frugal with my appreciation. It makes me no less of an auteur to recognize the talents of others. Oh, if only everyone were like me. Many years ago, I don't know, 100, 200, doesn't much matter. I was attached to a cruel, sadistic man who hated animals. I have no idea why I was in his household. He named me Sandbox. I can only guess out of spite. I was penned into his backyard with no means of escape. But I am no ordinary cat, and so there is a story to be told. There are noble characteristics such as love, honor, honesty, and integrity, just to name a few. Yes, all these things are good, and it is good to strive for them, and the humans treat these characteristics as a religious duty. But there are other, less obvious traits that are also define our personality. Revenge being the most relevant to my own particular story. I do not understand why the concept of revenge is so abhorrent to the humans. They bristle at the very thought of it. Possibly it is rooted in guilt, for every human that I have ever known has been oppressed by the thought of guilt. I am a cat, however, and I cannot identify with this debilitating attribute, for I do nothing but eat and sleep, and I am not in the habit of committing mischief. Until now. This man of whom I now speak was a real monster, and I hated him. I didn't ask to be given to this pathetic excuse for a human, but at least I was alive, so maybe there was a purpose that I had not become apparent of yet, for not all things are revealed in the same moment. This man deprived me of the simplest pleasures of the day, not out of poverty, even though he was poor, but out of pure hatred. He did not hate the world, however, nor did he hate his own poverty. He felt no shame at all for being poor. And I thought that was rather strange, because I always believed that most humans were driven by want and by lust. But in truth, he was driven by sloth and by a singular inaction. Laziness, in truth. It was me that he hated, I'm sure of it. But I have no understanding why. Back then they did not have nibblers, but you could get a fresh mouse or a rat, or even a saucer of milk would have been nice once in a while. But no, he didn't give me even a rat to chew on when times were tough. Rats are disgusting, but if you played with them long enough, They would sweat with excitement, and this sweat was a form of grease or sauce for flavoring. I know it's not much, but don't judge me until you have had to search for mouse turds or sun-dried insects just to survive. You see, I love life. I always have, and I will do what is required. You can bet on it. So anyway, you can see that my life under this cretin was less than pleasant. Under those circumstances, something happens to one's outlook, one's imagination, one's very soul. Perhaps if I were someone else, say a royal prince or a garbage collector, I might have fallen into despair. But no, these traits and trials actually energized my creativity. My desire to escape was so great that I could work and plot and plan for almost 8 hours a day. I normally sleep about 20 hours a day. So you can see that I was on fire like a Michelangelo or Stanley Kubrick or maybe Lucille Ball when she was doing those 3 shows all at the same time. I was a busy cat. But my plans were not all successful, and obviously it was the last one I tried that resulted in my redemption. The idea came to me as I was watching a rabbit dig a hole. I'm not sure why he was digging the hole, but I saw him complete his task and then place himself into the hole. That simple act set me on a path of my own digging. And it would take many, many days and weeks to complete. Usually working late at night when the only humans awake were concubines and paper boys. My plan was to design a tunnel from my sandbox down into the earth, over to the house, and then up through the flooring of the house. If I could find a suitable void. The plan was ambitious, but I was hungry. Hungry for adventure and revenge. In truth, if I could have found one single redeeming quality of this horrible person, I may have forgiven him. But he had none. Instead, he would smoke and drink all day and fill the house with the vilest cursing. How could I stay with such a person? The cretin almost found me out several occasions, but I was always able to provide a fabricated, fanciful explanation that satisfied his idiocy. If I do have any regrets over this episode, it may be that I think he began to enjoy my stories, and I began to feel some level of sympathy for his simple-mindedness. But that emotion was never allowed to bloom because just when I might have reconsidered, he would kick me across the yard or throw chicken bones at me for sport. I do have a higher calling, but really, chicken bones? He had no friends, no family, no hobbies, no ambition whatsoever. But even with so bleak of an existence, he still gave me no attention. Sure, I felt sorry for myself at first, for I thought that I was simply a fine cat and that I would make a fine companion to any owner, especially one of such utter worthlessness as my owner. Then I got mad, and so it is that anger is a great motivator. On the night of my redemption, I needed one more thing before my plan was actualized. I had to wait for several hours until a poor, defenseless creature made my plan complete. I entered the hole via the sandbox, and then followed the tunnel underground, across the yard over to the house. I was not able to procure enough fuel for all the wall torches, and so parts of the voyage were quite unsettling in pitch darkness with the worms and whatever else dwells down there. I had marked the entrance to the house, and as I saw the beacon now with my present in my paw, I could hardly contain the excitement within me. I needed to climb a bit though, the void, and then across the broken floorboard, and then I was in. I needed to be careful now, lest all my planning be spoiled. I listened for the louts snoring. It was impossible to miss. I crept close to where he slept, remembering all the stories I had told him, all the times he had reacted with wonder and surprise. And my heart was touched. Damn. Was I now to not fulfill my plan because of some tear-stained letter, some pent-up sympathy? But just before I was to fall into this abyss of emotion, I saw the thing that allowed me to move forward. Scattered all over the lout's body were chicken bones. He had been gorging himself before falling asleep, or perhaps falling into an apoplectic shock. I smiled, for I knew now what was to be. I carefully jumped near the sleeping man and placed my present to him into his mouth. Then, I quickly ran back to the tunnel, and after recovering the void, retraced my steps back to the sandbox. I lay on my back now, gazing up at the stars and wondering about all the complexities and mysteries that might never be solved. The moon was shining brightly, and I almost thought that I could feel its cold warmth on my fur. It didn't take long. 5 minutes or so after I got to the sandbox, I heard the first scream. It was blood-curdling, even for me. But then the screams kept coming over and over until finally a man crashed through the door and ran away. I never saw him again. I didn't really expect him to thank me for the present, but really, what's all the fuss? Never ate a rat before? My freedom from this man came with a new attitude, a new lease on life. Now I loved to lay in the sand in my sandbox because I was free. And it was my sandbox, and it was my sand. I lay in my sandbox as proudly as the most attractive woman on the most pristine white sand beach. Life can be sweet. But alas, all things come to an end, and so did my life in the sandbox. One day, 2 men entered the yard where my sandbox was placed. This was my home, and I thought that they had no right to be there. They did not ask my opinion before tearing away my sandbox to pieces and throwing it in the sand into a pile in the corner of the yard next to the woodpile. Then they chased me away with curses and demonstrations of extreme violence. And I fled through the open gate and left my wonderful sandbox behind. I died soon after that episode after eating a poisoned rat. Udo.